Now, my first guest this morning, he's a good friend of mine. He lives in Ocean City in the summer. He's a surfer, but he's also a referee. Had a long, good and a great career, minor league referee. Let's go to the Toms River Volkswagen Sports Hotline and welcome into the locker room, Chris Cozzan. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Billy. How are you today?
I just want to say one word to you. Osh.
And Osh back to you, my longtime friend.
Hey, Cozy, I got to tell you, I want to kick myself because Friday afternoon, Craig Berube texted me and he said, or we talked. He says, "Oh, I'm reffing tonight. I'm coaching tonight." I went, "What?" And he goes, "Well, you want to go to the game?" I said, "Yeah." So he gave me 2 tickets. I never thought to look at the referee, which was you.
That's your first mistake right there. Everybody's eyes should focus on the stripes as soon as they walk in the building.
But see, here's
the most important guys on the ice. God, Billy, know that.
But here's the thing, Cozy. You're doing a good.
You?
No, here's the thing, Cozy. You're doing a good job, but nobody recognizes. Nobody knows his stripes.
Yeah,
you're drawing attention to yourself.
Game.
That's right. If you're, I said, you know what I said to him, to you guys? I said, what did you do? Swallow your whistle during that alumni game?
Yeah. Very few whistles. It was actually a running clock, and there was a couple rules in play: no slap shots and automatic icing.
Letting the vets play.
Let the boys play, as you will. Yep.
Chris,
old school.
When I found out that you're retiring after a long, illustrious career as a minor league referee, I mean, you've reffed a lot of games. You've seen a lot of hockey, and you've had some ice and off-ice things to overcome in your career. How fast did that career go flying by?
It was incredibly fast. I can remember it was like it was yesterday. I was just starting out. And for your listeners, I really started in the ECHL, East Coast Hockey League, in the Boardwalk Bullies. I worked a ton of games there. And then I progressed and advanced to the American Hockey League, which is the AAA level of hockey. It's the number 1 affiliate to the NHL team. So when I made it to that level, I was like, okay, we're real close now. But I had accumulated close to 1,200 games over 20-plus years, and it was really it was hard leaving. It wasn't an option. In 2015, got a call in the summertime that my services were no longer required.
Is that right?
And the National Hockey League, the officiating department, they run the referees and linesmen. They wanted to go younger, which is a fact of life. Hockey's a business. And that was it, Billy. You know what? In a 60-second phone call, my career was over. And I was a little sour about that. And be honest to you, I was actually sitting in the car and I heard Brian Boucher talking about the alumni game on the radio.
Right.
And I immediately contacted a buddy of mine with the NHL, and I thought, wow, this would be a nice way to
go out.
Kind of go out, right. And, of course, he made me wait. About 2 weeks before the game, he said, "Cozy, sharpen your skates." you got the call.
Cozy.
That was it, It was 8 years. Wait, let me tell you. It was 8 years from my, they retired me to this game. So for that long a time, I really kind of was like sour, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, I couldn't have scripted it any better. I mean, I had my family, my work family, everybody. It was great.
Well,
and two things real quick. I got a nephew. He's a listener, Matt Cozzan. He's a longtime referee. Kind of followed my footsteps. He lives there in Longport. And my son, he officiates too. So we do games together, and it's really enjoyable that I was able to pass that on. But go ahead.
It's in the Cozy bloodlines.
It is.
All right, Cozy, you've had a couple traumatic things happen in your career I want to go over. I will never forget, I was in Fort Lauderdale, and this was back in like the late 80s, I guess, early 90s. I'm watching World News Tonight, and I'm in Fort Lauderdale in a bar, and I see this big melee, big fight. And it made World News Tonight, and there's Chris Cozzan. Tell us what happened.
First of all, it's no surprise you were in a bar. But secondly, it was the Central Hockey League, and I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it was actually, I think, a playoff game. And the visiting team, the Memphis River Kings, were playing the Tulsa Oilers, and I called a penalty on one of the River Kings. While he was in the penalty box, He was, a little rambunctious, and one of the local, why there was a police officer in the score box or penalty box, I have no idea. He took it upon himself to subdue the hockey player and cuffed him to the rail. Well, the more he tried to restrain the player, the more the player started to fight back, and then they applied some kind of a chokehold. He went unconscious. Next thing you know, I got a fire truck on the ice, and it was absolute bedlam. Benches were empty.
It was all world news tonight.
In the glass, and to be completely honest and totally ironic, his name was Bruce Shoebottom, and he played Friday night in the alumni game for the Bruins.
Get out, really?
Oh, yeah. I went right. I said, do you remember me? He goes, I remember you.
Well, Cozy,
he was a draft pick for the Bruins, so he was.
But Cozy, if my memory serves me correctly, you got in trouble for that. You that probably hindered your career a little bit, wouldn't you say?
Well, I didn't applaud the effort I had that night. That's the case. I don't think.
Well, it wasn't your fault, but.
No, it definitely was. Well, you know what? I was I'll say it was a AA level, and I really wasn't sure I was on the radar of the NHL because they don't look at it. You look at you game by game, but to an extent, yeah. I mean, it was probably a blemish on the resume, but you can't control that, man.
You can't.
I don't ref in the rearview mirror. I'm looking forward and just getting ready for the next game. But it rattled me. It was bizarre. I don't think I ever heard of it happening again. But why was a police officer?
Right.
We have rules in play. Like I could have ejected him out of the game or whatever, but it just got out of control. And listen, that's not the only one, man. I mean,
no, I know.
Players,
but I just
clearing brawls, but we don't have time for all those.
Nah, but Cozy, the reason why it resonates with me is because here I am at Fort Lauderdale. I at that point hadn't seen you in a couple months, and I see you on World News Tonight as their like lead story. It was pretty fun.
Story. It was the lead story. It was Peter Jennings.
Peter Jennings,
it was picked up by it was picked up by you guys. The Associated Press, and it just ran. I mean, how many times do you see?
You don't see that.
Just melee, yeah. And then what? Back then, Billy, our names were on our jerseys.
That's right.
So there's pictures, and it's like Cozzan right there. So I mean, when I tell you my fellow officials gave it to me, I mean they gave it to me. Yeah, way to go, Cozy.
Way to go. And, all right, Cozy, on a real serious note, you also were involved in a very, very scary hockey accident. And I was thinking about you not too long ago when one of the hockey players overseas was clipped in the neck with a skate, and he died on the ice. That happened to you.
Been me.
That happened to you, didn't it? Tell our listeners what happened.
First of all, skate lacerations are way more common than people realize. So when it happened to me in 2009, I was in Norfolk, Virginia, doing an Admirals game. They were playing the Grand Rapids Griffins, Detroit's farm team in Tampa Bay. And I was really kind of pumped up because Darren McCarty was in the lineup, and then whatever, there were some NHLers playing that night. I was just coming up the ice, leaving the zone, and we always say keep all 10 in front of you. Well, I had 8. There were 2 behind me, and as I'm going up the ice along the wall, Player A pushed player B. He toppled over. And let me tell you, sharp blades down, never up.
Right.
It came up, Billy, and it clipped me on the side of the neck. It did a 4-inch deep laceration right to my spinal column. I was dying right there.
Blood everywhere.
I was in the AHL. The medical trainers and the doctors are right on the bench. They're not up in a suite, which, thank God, came out there and pinched my arteries closed, and I went to a trauma hospital. Thank God there was a trauma hospital right there 3 minutes away. I went into emergency surgery. Billy, I'm going to tell you something. When I came to the next day, actually I was out 2 days. I was on a ventilator. I was very, very hurt. The nurse says, boy, man, you came in. Let me tell you something. We get Bravo codes. I'm like, what's a Bravo code? She goes, that's gunshot car accident.
You lost a lot of blood.
You came in Alpha code. I'm like, what's that? Every doctor. You were dying right there. So flew my family down, and I was messed up for about 6 months. And
was it hard?
Probably should have.
Cozy, let me ask you this question: was it hard for you to when you've made a full recovery, like your body healed mentally? How hard was it for you to get back on the ice? And it's got to be in the back of your mind. Like anytime you have something traumatic like that happen, I would imagine there was a lot of trepidation getting back on that ice.
Yeah, a little. Like when I did come back, I went to camp a year later because this happened in March. So I had like 6 months to heal, maybe more. And they said to me, they said exactly what you said at training camp. We know you physically healed, but we don't know how you healed mentally.
Right.
They gave me one preseason game in Hershey. I went out there and basically looked at it like, what are the chances, man? Like, what's the chances of that ever happening again? And it I suppressed it probably mentally, and because I just loved the job so much, I didn't want it to end. I still had a lot of gas in the tank, and no, I wasn't running around like scared or.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to have in the back of your mind that they're a little cautious about what happened. I mean, those blades people don't realize how sharp those blades are, man.
Oh, they're like razors, man. Every time I looked in the mirror, Billy, I got a giant scar all across the side of my neck. Never went away. Like, I was reminded by it, and then everybody brings it up, and I'm like, okay, let's not jinx me. But no, I mean, listen, Billy, if it wasn't the laceration, I've had slap shots to the head, face. I mean, I've had lacerations all over. So it's not uncommon to get hurt, but that type of injury is pretty rare. Now, listen, years later, it's happened in youth hockey and pro hockey.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not the only one, man. And, I thank God every day. I'm so appreciative. I didn't listen, I was bleeding out, man.
Yeah, I know you were. Hey, Cozy,
for a reason.
Wayne Gretzky now is an advocate for wearing guards around people players wearing guards around the neck.
Yeah, well, you know what? When this happened to me, I had a couple of companies approach me. They were making some neck guards, and they had the R&D, research and development going on. They just weren't as advanced as the material is now. Right. So I fully believe that players and officials and youth will be wearing like a Kevlar type of undergarment and a little it's kind of like a turtleneck. As long as it stops the laceration, like you're going to get a bruise, but you're not going to get split open.
Right. Right by the juggler.
Yeah, man. I mean, like the material they have now, it happened to me in 2009. So, I mean, the stuff they have out today, because you can get cut on the wrist, the leg, stepped on. I mean, it's just it's a lot better now, and the game's safer. But you should look for USA Hockey to mandate neck guards in the future, just like they did with visors for the officials and for mouthpieces, and it's risk management, I think they call it. But so it's
all right, Cozy,
it's a dangerous sport.
Cozy, let me ask you, what's the one thing you're going to miss about refereeing? The one thing you're going to miss most about refereeing?
You know what? Just the experience of walking into an arena. It's going to have 15, 20,000, and you're the man. You're coming in there, and you're running the hockey game. Right. The treatment that you get, the travel I loved. We stayed in nice hotels, and then just getting in the locker room and the camaraderie in the room, and like all that. The game itself, I mean, once the puck's down, it's like autopilot,
right?
And there's moments in the game that are really cool, special moments. But it's the before the game and after the game. Just you're a pro, and
right.
It's I can't even put listen. I'm not going to lie, it was emotional.
Yeah, I can imagine. And here you are on the ice with you had Ray Bork with the Bruins and Kenny Linsman, some real Bruins greats, of course. Lindros for the Flyers, LeClaire, Recchi, Brian Propp, right?
Mike Richards,
Hartnell,
Brian Boucher, Michael Letton. It was, and it was funny because Boucher and Michael Leighton,
they played great.
They played for the Phantoms, and I had them, and I go, and it was in Atlantic City when they had neutral site games. For your listeners that saw Phantoms games at Boardwalk Hall, I went right up, and you remember me, and of course I went up to your buddy Chief on the bench. You remember me because I remember you, and I said, God, you had this death stare. You used to scare the heck out of me.
I thought he hated me his whole life.
Dude, I'll tell you, he is a ominous man. He is a big man.
He's a good guy.
You know what was funny too is I skated up to Chris Carey and I said, "Geez, you're big," and he said, and I'm little, man. I'm 5'7",
right.
5'8" on a good day, and he goes, "Yeah, Cozy, you got to remember in the '90s we were all this big," and it just was an error in hockey in the '90s. I was so glad.
Golden era, man.
Then. Yeah, it was a lot more physical, and it was a night, Billy, that I could talk to the players and make jokes, and I hugged Joe Watson right at the end.
Yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun, man.
It was fun beyond fun. Like, I just really didn't want it to end. And when it did, it was definitely, emotional.
Well, Cozy, listen, we got to run, but I wanted to get you on to congratulate you on a wonderful, wonderful career. And we'll get together. I'll see you in the summer down in Ocean City. But
wait till summer, I wouldn't mind seeing it. So, for sure, thank you. Really appreciate you getting me on the call. And I hope I was able to give the listeners kind of an insight.
Yeah, you did. You really did.
When you wear the black and white. I will say this, and I'll leave you with this. For over 20 years, Billy, I had to listen to, hey, Cozzan, nobody came to the game tonight to watch you ref. And I said, but Billy, I can finally say, tonight they did. My family, my friends were there because I was doing my last game. So to that guy, yeah, you know what? They're here for me.
All right, Cozy. Listen, man, we love you. We'll talk to you again. Thanks.
Thanks, Billy. All right,
there he is, Chris Cozy on the Toms River Volkswagen Sports Hotline.